Hello and welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse MJ. No heater. It's been a while since he's been here, but I was struggling. So
Jesse Heater and MJ rolls off nicely off the tongue.
And I don't even have Heater written in my notes, but I was just like, where's Heater? Each week, each episode, because we're in Podmas at the moment, we are looking at Netflix original films in the order of release. I've stuffed this up massively, but
I like it.
We are on the 11th day of Podmas.
We're getting silly.
11 days in a row. I think the lack of sleep in watching these is getting to me. So today, we are looking at Netflix's 59th film. It's the 2017 Christmas comedy drama, Christmas Inheritance. It's directed by Ernie Barbarash and it stars Eliza Taylor, Jake Lacy, Andie MacDowell, and Michael Xavier.
I'm sad that this is our last Christmas one.
I'm not.
Because I know this is 3 in a row and we're hitting like the peak of Christmas season. It's time
I reckon we might have some Christmas themes in one of the next ones we do over Podmas.
Okay.
We should do a bet. Let's do a bet. Some mention or reference to Christmas.
Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the films coming up. So
all right,
let's do a bet. Any reference to Christmas? Do
Okay.
you reckon there will be, or there won't? I reckon there will be.
All right. No, I got no idea, but I'm gonna go against you just because it makes it a bet.
Yeah, true. Because there's no one else here.
I like it. Let's keep an ear out for that.
All right, I'm going to be watching with a close eye.
That's good.
So anyway, today we're looking at Christmas Inheritance. So we need to do our fast flicks where we do our little quick summary of the film. MJ.
Cool. So the daughter of a successful CEO must go back to her dad's hometown to deliver a Christmas errand and discover why the business was born in the first place.
We're very similar today.
Yeah.
I've said a girl is sent by her dad to a small town to learn the spirit of the company she wants to take over.
Yours is better. Spirit of the company. God, why didn't I think of that?
Spirit, nice word, because it's Christmas. We need a little bit of spirit in December.
That would have been so much better.
Nah, that's all right. I liked yours. It was good. So, what do we know? What have we found out about this film? Any history, any news, any info?
Tough.
There's not much about this movie.
There's nothing about this movie. Like, it was... I mean, the best thing that I had, and this was, I think, just on IMDb, that the set for Snow Falls required a lot of snow for the setting of the film because it was filmed in spring.
Yep.
And the crew had to use some shaving cream to simulate some snow, which sure they could have chosen another time of the year. Like I know scheduling and it's all difficult and hard, but man, that would have been a pain in the ass. That could have been something they really could have avoided.
Yeah, just change
the time
of the year.
Didn't pick it at all.
No,
they did a hell of a job.
Looked very cold.
Mate, what have you got?
So it was filmed in Canada.
That's the only other thing I had. Yeah,
in Ontario.
Yep.
From March 24th, 2017 till April 8th.
Very
short shoot. The only other thing is that I've got was when Ali was reading through the old letters, there's a photo of her at the piano, and it's a photo of her wearing the Erinsborough High uniform from Neighbours, which is an Australian
Did you know she was in Neighbours?
Opera. No, I didn't.
Neither did I.
I worked out afterwards she was an Australian.
Same.
Yeah, but
Melburnian as well.
Yeah,
just like us.
Yeah, but didn't realise that she was from Neighbours.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that either. Didn't even know she was Aussie, as you said.
Yeah, so if you're interested in Neighbours, give us a shout out. We're not too far from where they actually film.
Actually, we are quite close.
Very close. What about the consensus on this one?
You know what I did notice? These scores from the last 2 Christmas movies
very similar,
are almost exactly the same. All 3 of these movies, this was 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and this is 2.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that 5.7 or 5.6 has been like all these films on IMDb, and like 2.3, 2.4 on Letterboxd for all of them. They're like all sitting at exactly the same.
Maybe there's
score.
people like us that have just watched the Netflix Christmas movies at Christmas.
Maybe they have, but I mean, our scores are a bit different to those ones.
Sure are.
I know you obviously rate them on Letterboxd on your profile.
Yep.
Which is there's a link to that in the podcast.
There is a link in our podcast notes.
Do you rate them on IMDb?
I don't. No. I couldn't double handle.
Nah, neither.
Using the one things.
I started to the other day. Just if I see something that I've watched recently and I can rate it, just because I want to add to those ratings. It's nice.
You could almost
I
could just
consensus.
go back on Letterboxd and just double whatever we've got.
No, that's work though. What have you got for Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes. So no consensus again. There's only 7 reviews on this one.
More than El Camino.
More than El Camino. Sits at 43%.
Slightly more than El Camino Christmas.
Just a little bit. And then, again, the audience is 35% on 116. So that's pretty low for the
That's
audience
very
score.
low.
Very low.
For the record, this was 6,700 ratings on IMDb and nearly 2,800 on Letterboxd. Again, much more robust sample size than Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Tiny. So this went on Netflix on the 15th of December 2017. So very close to where we are right now.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
They got it just in time.
Yeah. All right. Time to get into some characters.
Well, what did you think of the film?
Oh, sorry. Pick me up on this one. What are our early thoughts on this film? I didn't get into this one. I struggled with this one.
Damn it!
It was a little bit too cheesy. And my main issue with this film is the character Jake, who's also played by a guy called Jake in real life. That's lazy. Like, lazy.
Hang on, you didn't know that when you were watching it.
No, but I know it now, and that's lazy.
So you said that was your main issue. So you're watching this film going, God, I bet he's got the same name in real life.
Sorry, my main issue is that I feel like he was totally miscast. But then when I find out that his name's Jake as well, that's lazy too.
Okay.
Two separate things, so there you go.
I'm glad that you said that because I think the exact same thing.
Oh, good, all right. Fill me in. What did you think? Early thoughts?
This one felt like a Christmas movie that I could get behind.
Oh, no.
The other two didn't really get me, but I'm gonna be honest, I thought the characters were a lot more fleshed out than I anticipated, and I liked the small town vibe. I agree. If they dialed down the cheese 15%, maybe trim 15 minutes, this could have been a really good Christmas movie.
Could have graded a bit off.
But I did like the fact that Christmas Day felt like a proper deadline. The Christmas themes. So if you look at the themes of this film, they're very much based around what's important at Christmas. So that gets a big tick for me. But there's this... Occasionally, when they took the cheese out of it, I was really into it. And it's like they kind of every now and then felt like, oh, hang on, we've got this tween audience that we need to talk to. And they went back to the cheese. And I didn't like that. But there was enough in it for me.
Good. All right. Well, now we've done our early thoughts. Let's talk about some characters.
Let's do it. So
we might have... This is good. We could have a bit of a chat here.
I'm glad. I was like, you know what?
It's been a while since
we can either like binge on this together. I wasn't sure what you were going to say. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to say this was a 4 or 5 star film, but
okay, good. So we can put it early that it's not going to get a 4.
No, it's not going to get a 4 or 5. No, goodness no.
I was worried. I was getting worried.
The other two I couldn't get into, and I'm a sucker for Christmas movies, so this one finally did the trick. But let's talk about some characters.
Yep, let's do it.
You want to talk about Ellie first? Is it Ellie?
Sure, yeah. Ellie. Yep.
Played by Eliza Taylor, as we spoke about before. So I really liked that she was pretty self-sufficient from the start. They didn't have her coming from a million miles back on this remarkable growth journey to really spin the narrative.
Yeah, I've got issues with that. Keep going.
Well, okay, good. Because at the start, when she, does that somersault into the Christmas tree, she did it because she's making all this money for charity. So who cares if she knocks over a tree? She seemed pretty switched on when she was actually at work. That the next day at work, she's obviously getting everything ready for the meeting. She seems really knows what she's doing. She obviously makes a lot of money for the company.
Yep.
She seemed to embrace the hard work. And then finally, when it was put to her to go on the trip, she was super excited about it. She didn't push it back and go, oh no, I'm a pretty little daddy's girl that can't do this. So I liked all that part of her character. And what I hated was the klutzy behaviour and the privileged city girl stuff that didn't feel like it was her that we got introduced to. As I said, it felt like it was our target audience needs a little bit of this because they'll think it's funny.
Yep.
But the film wasn't too far from being off more than that.
Sure. So you've called her a klutz.
Yeah.
So I've called her a ditz.
Ditz, klutz.
Yeah. Like very simple. Like I didn't find her horrible or nasty or ill-intentioned at all.
Mm.
And to me, it was like you're setting her up on this journey that needs to be a journey by someone who's coming from a lot further back than she was.
Okay.
And I think that's where to me, it was like, she's an okay person. And then all of a sudden, she's like, I'm tired of being a rich kid. And there's this quick change. She's almost a saint. Like, she brings excellent. A bum in out of the snow.
But that's because she wasn't coming from that far back.
Exactly. So
it was always in her.
It was, yeah. So what's the journey? What's the progression of the story? She tidies up, makes cookies, does these donations, all these really quick little things where we know that she already works for charity. She doesn't have this opinion about charity that her partner does.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the growth or the change in this character?
That's cool. I guess from my perspective, I enjoyed that I liked her from the start, and it wasn't like a Sweet Home Alabama type, oh, this girl's never going to make it in a small town. But it obviously showed her a lot about herself and her family and what's important, and that you don't need, big expensive things and technology.
I think you meant, like, something you said earlier, like just before, it was like, it was always in her.
Yeah.
I like that because it was always in her. And I think that's probably what put me offside a little bit. Like, the dad doesn't really need to send her on this journey if it's already there.
Yeah, it's not like Billy Madison where you need to go finish high school because you're actually a moron. Yeah. It was, all right, let's see what you can get out of this.
Yeah.
Which I think, and that's okay for a Christmas movie because it doesn't need to be doing more than just bringing you up a little bit. And as I said, I love the small town vibe.
Yep.
And I could see, I wanted to spend my Christmas there, and that's
it's a nice little
that's
town,
enough for me.
Yeah, it's lovely. Everyone was nice, except the guy that works in the IT shop.
Yeah, a real over the top Hollywood movie would make her coming from being even Legally Blonde. All right, like it doesn't add up that this girl is all of a sudden smart enough to go to law school. Like things like that. I don't like it when you're making me take this leap of faith.
I'm going to be honest, these aren't my type of movies anyway.
Yeah, and they're not. They're somewhat mine. If you get it right, they can be mine. But I all of a sudden I'm like, this character who's going to be the one who's going to change. I'm like, I already like you, so let's go on this journey together, Ellie. And we held hands and went on it.
Good. All right. Who have you got next?
Oh, I think we both know who we've got next.
I think I'm going to have a different one next to you.
Oh, well, you should have Jake next.
I probably should have, but I didn't. This guy is the nicest guy in the world.
He's a good, wholesome dude.
He's not a real person. There is no one in
the
world.
Real.
No,
he's not real. He's got no mean streak to him, but what I do like about it is you see a vulnerable side of him. You understand the breakup that he'd been through, and he's basically never healed from that.
So he doesn't like New York, and he doesn't like Silent Night.
Yep. So then the time when he does, I guess, let his heart get away from him a little bit, and he's closed in, and he loses control a little bit, he hurts even more, and you can see that hurt in him. I do agree that I didn't feel like the actor was the right fit. I just didn't buy parts of his performance. He didn't seem like this kind of guy.
Like, I watched this one with my wife, and it's like, as soon as the movie started, I didn't know anything about this film. The movie started, you introduced early on to her fiance, and I go, she's not going to end up with him. And I go, the next guy she meets is going to be the heartthrob.
Yep.
And when he rocks up in this taxi, I've gone, are you kidding me?
Not him.
She's going to end up with him?
Yeah.
No offense to him, but he's not the stereotypical heartthrob that you see in these types of movies.
It's almost not even like he's not a bad looking dude, but he just had these facial expressions that made him kind of goofy and.
I feel like he'd be good in a sitcom, like a in studio audience where you've got a crowd that are going to react to those.
Yeah, exactly right. It didn't, and that's the thing. It's nothing to do with his performance. I don't think he was properly cast, and he didn't feel like the kind of guy who was just this saint of the town.
Yeah.
That I had a little bit of trouble with that because I think the character itself, despite that he was like Mr. Perfect, I did like that you got to see this other side of him that, previously in some of the films that we've done that haven't been fleshed out, you don't know enough about the character, but you see him from a 360 view. You see what he's gone through. You see why he's back there, why he is the way he is. You understand him a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. I thought that there was this character in there called Captain Williams, who's this old dude who comes to the motel or hotel every year for Christmas. And just the way that he was like this really gruff...
He was a prick to him.
Yeah. I was trying to be a little bit nice to him. And I was like, you need to stand... Like, I get you're doing the right thing by this guy, but you need to tell this guy, if he's going to be there every year and treat you like that, you need to be like, no.
Yeah, but then his explanation of him coming there every year because his wife died and I don't know, I didn't mind that as well.
Okay.
I'd like to think that I'm man enough to act like that, going, you know what, his anger's not at me, he's going through some stuff, it's a tough time of year for me.
But if he does that surely there's a stage where you say, hey, I'm here for you, I'm here every year, but can we tone it down a bit?
Not Jake.
Yeah, not Jake.
Not Jakey Collins.
Too perfect.
He's a dreamboat.
Oh, man.
Just looks a bit weird.
Okay, who else have you got?
Well, obviously Debbie was what you had before.
No, I didn't.
What? What order are you going in?
Yeah, 'cause Debbie was after Jake.
There's 3 main characters in this for me.
Yeah, I'd say Debbie.
You kind of needed her. She was there for both sides of their story. Both, you get to learn more about Jake and you get to learn more about Ellie through Debbie. The fact that she knew the identity and the history of Ellie's family, but she also
Nice touch.
Yeah, and she knew the heartbreak of Jake, and she was on both of their sides. She never picked a side. And
As soon as she says, "I dated your dad," I was like, they're going to end up together.
Yeah, well,
There's so many plot. Yeah, anyway.
yeah, sure. I agree with that. I almost I didn't even care about that part of the story. In fact, I was in enough to be like, I hope you get with the dad. But she became, because she was like a sounding board for both the characters. It meant that they could kind of go on their journeys without internalizing all their issues. And that's one of the best things I thought about this film, was how much they let you know about the characters and how much you can understand these characters. And it's because they had her to talk through things and,
Sure,
I guess, progress their character development.
I had her down as almost this voice of reason for Ellie as well. Like, without her dad, who I feel like back in New York, she obviously has a good relationship with him. She's in his office. Looks like most mornings she pops in to see what she should do for the day. And I thought, yeah, she was this person that sort of stepped in while the dad wasn't there to sort of keep her grounded, to make sure she stayed and sort of, learnt about that spirit of the town and showed her in the restaurant. That's where the company started.
Yeah.
This is where, your mum and dad got married in this, like in the hotel that you're
And
staying
she had
in.
so many nice things to say about the mum, didn't she?
She did.
It was like, I broke up with him and this other bird came along and and she was like, but she was just the best.
and you look just like her. It's just so beautiful.
Mate, who did you have as second bill on your list?
Second bill on my list was great.
Yeah, okay.
I was just like, dick. I was like, this guy just doesn't care about anyone but himself.
So if you think that Jake isn't a real person, Gray is definitely not a real person. He was too far the other way.
Good way of putting it. I just saw him as this representation of the city and people that are just so focused on everything but people.
Sure. He was one of my biggest issues with the film.
Yeah.
Mainly because it was just, okay, like, we get it, he's a dick. Don't have to keep telling me every single scene that he's in that he is just an awful person.
Yep.
But, like, it always begs the question for me, like, how did he end up with Ellie in the first place?
Good question.
Like, why does she go, yep, he's the one? Because there's nothing
Because
there.
she may have been caught up in this New York vibe of business, money, nothing real about life. Whereas this is that wake-up call for her.
I actually would have enjoyed it more if he was semi-likable, but not quite right for Ellie. And then she had this tough decision, but it was a tough decision, but not a hard decision. And this guy kind of got it. I'm trying to think of Sweet Home Alabama. Have you seen it?
I saw that in the movies.
I think I did too, and that's a long time ago. I can't quite remember, but I feel like her, because she's with Gary Dempsey initially, and I feel like he's not an awful guy. But
you're testing my memory.
that's what. But I think there's
in
a way.
my mind on thinking about it is I saw Legally Blonde by myself in the cinemas.
Did you really?
I did.
At what age?
This is going off topic, but
No.
So the choice was my mum and my sister and her friend were going to see the Wiggles movie.
Oh,
and I was
goodness.
like, I'm not seeing the Wiggles movie, so the Legally Blonde was the movie on at the same time. So I saw that by myself.
Okay,
sorry,
that makes a lot more sense. It wasn't like I gotta see this film. No one's like.
Sorry, yeah.
But I think they could have done a. You know what? There's a lot of things about this film that I would like to change slightly.
Yeah.
And the film changes and becomes a lot better. So maybe I might remake this film.
Thinking
one
the
day.
proposal in my mind too. Ryan Reynolds and Sandra
Oh
Bullock.
yeah, that's right. But they don't have partners in the first place.
Yeah, your memory's a lot better than mine.
But in this sense, I feel like they could have done this Grey character differently. That he's not just completely awful. That it's like, oh well, like there's no like risk in them breaking up. It would have been good if it was like a tough decision and they both kind of understood it and you started to feel it a little bit. But this was just like, yeah, this guy's a dick, so just hurry up with it. Like it's gonna happen.
I also had Uncle Zeke down there.
Oh, right.
Because it really annoyed me when he just rocks up at the end of Santa.
Yeah, but that was deliberate.
I did watch the movie, yeah. Thanks for filling me in. It just annoyed me. Really annoyed me.
It didn't annoy me. I kind of thought it was going to be deliberate when things are happening.
Anyway, that's why I had him down. What else?
I've got no more characters to discuss, but I'm happy to discuss characters if you would like to.
I don't have any more characters. Cool. What about the director? Ernie
Yeah, Ernie
Barbarash.
Barbarash. He has 21 directing credits, of which I've not seen anything that he's done to date. That's all I can really say about Ernie.
It's about the same. Nothing too much there. What about, like, I just want to recast Jake. I don't know who with, but I don't, like, I think I said this about the Prince Christmas one. You can't put a massively well-known person in this role.
No, agreed.
But I don't know who.
It is a tough character. Because the only edge he kind of had was when he realised that she was lying to him. And
even then, he could have been a lot meaner.
It could have been a lot
worse,
worse,
but he was just too nice. He's just like,
yep,
okay.
Because then he was like, oh, should I just charge this to your company?
Yeah.
And then, like, he didn't end up charging her. Like, obviously she did all that work, but yeah.
Did she do that? Anyway.
Oh, she was good, man.
She was good?
Yeah.
All right. Seeing as I think you've got some good scenes. What are some good scenes that you liked in this film?
Yep, I do have a few. The scene with Gray before she eventually left, I liked seeing her confidence and her excitement compared to him rolling his eyes. And initially I was like, okay, I like her. I feel like I want to go on this little journey with her. This was before the fiance had been like overly like an absolute dick. So now it's just like, of course he was going to be like this. But initially at the start I was kind of like, okay, she's really into this. He's a bit like, oh, I don't know what you're doing. But no, cool. I like that she's siding with it and she's going to attack this head on. I really like the first scene at the diner when we learn about Ellie's parents. We hear about Jake's obvious heartbreak and you get that real small town vibe of what it's like at dinner time that night. The whole thing is just nice and it created a really good dynamic between the three key characters. So I was all in on that one.
Oh, nice. You're making me feel nice.
It gets better. Like, what about the scene where Ellie gives up her room for the family, culminating in giving the little girl the Christmas teddy bear?
Man, I've got the teddy bear in my
the
things I didn't like. I thought the teddy bear was too obvious. When she's in the room early on and there's just this shot of the teddy bear, I'm like, that teddy bear is going to, didn't like it. And then the kid gives it back.
Oh, that's my next one.
Next one. Sorry.
But this is going to be one of those, when I do rewatch this at Christmas in a few years, this is... these
calling it a rewatch already.
These will be the scenes where it warms your heart a little bit when she opens up her room to the family. And the family was so lovely.
They were lovely.
But yeah, I did also have when she was reading the letters and getting quite emotional. And like, we were all getting emotional at my house. And even it was just me watching it. And then the little girl came in with the teddy bear. It was like, yep, you got me. Like, well done.
I didn't cry in this one.
I didn't cry in it either.
Good.
I didn't cry in it. It didn't get me that much. I thought the ice sculptures were terrific, and I didn't quite.
Not bad seeing it spring. Would have been melting like
wow, time. They've got some talented people in that small town because they were excellent. And I very much enjoyed the finale at the Santa dinner. I enjoyed the dialogue and the script of the letter that Zeke was reading out. For me, it was the appropriate payoff that the film needed. It wasn't overdone, but it was dialed up enough with where I was at emotionally with the film. So I like that as well. I'm guessing you might not have as many as me.
I've one.
Okay, yeah. And I didn't have it.
Yeah, which is good. I've got one scene that I liked. I liked the scene where Ellie and Gray are in the car and she finally takes her ring off and storms off and says, you should go on that holiday by yourself to Maui because I'm sure you'll enjoy your own company.
He would, yeah, and he would,
Yeah, and I was just like, that
was a good line, wasn't it?
That was a good line. So that was my nice little spot. All right. Is there anything that you didn't like?
There's plenty. There still is plenty.
Because I was getting a bit worried. I was like, listening to you go through those scenes is almost as hard as watching the movie.
They were really good scenes.
They bring back these memories of like, did I sit through this?
Did you watch this with your wife?
I did.
What did she think?
Not a massive fan.
Oh, come on.
I think we were about the same page on this.
Goodness gracious. I didn't like at the very start that guy who was offering her money for charity to do that flip or whatever was like 20 years old and he seemed to have a lot of money and he was going to quadruple his offer. I was like, hang on, why are you a bit young?
She did a cartwheel.
She was great and I hope that she got quadruple the amount. And then it's the stuff where she was acting like a klutz that I didn't like. I started to get really bored by that whole room cleaning scene when she blew up the vacuum cleaner. And there was still like an hour to go at this stage. And this could have gone either way for me. And then she lied about being a baker. Like, I liked this character. I thought she was clever, as if she hadn't thought more about what she would answer if someone asked that question. It felt more like kiddie than chick flick at that point.
Yep.
Like this was going to be a funny little kid show. There was terrible Photoshop job in like every family photo that we saw.
Oh, okay.
Terrible.
Good.
Like,
I wasn't even paying attention to that.
So clearly photoshopped. You can do a lot better than that in 2017.
Ooh, smack.
Basically, everything in the end where Gray was being like just a really shit dude, like they were throwing it in your face. Like, we get it, he's a shit bloke. When she says, I like it here because they treat me like a regular person, and he says, you're starting to scare me. Like, in what world is that like not a really nice thing for someone to feel? Like, for him to be like,
totally agree.
Whoa, that's weird. Why do you like people treating you like a normal person? It's like, come on, mate.
That's his character, though. He's so set out in his New York scene.
And I didn't like that. And I obviously didn't like his character in general. Not that I didn't like this, but you know when there was that massive storm and they obviously usher everybody inside, and later on Jake and Ellie go for a walk.
It's the new sculpture scene. That's your...
It is, but the weather was pretty good. Like... They obviously
good pickup,
and the lights were on because they talked about there being a blizzard and the power going off. The street lights were on and the weather was great.
It's a good pickup.
I was like, oh, maybe you can let them all go home now. It kind of bothered me a little bit.
It's a very good pickup.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of that.
I was watching this one closely.
You were, yeah.
And it annoyed me at the end when she was talking about the business with her dad at the Santa dinner, and he goes, "Let's talk about work tomorrow. It's Christmas Eve." It's like, well, tomorrow's Christmas Day. Do you want to talk about Christmas Day?
Good conversation while you're sitting around having lunch.
Like, come on, maybe you give it till Boxing Day. But there were still plenty of things that I was like, this doesn't work. But I still think there's just a few adjustments that you could have made. So when I remake this film in a few years...
good. Can I be the Photoshop person?
Yeah, you can. You can play Jake if you want.
Oh, good. I'll take that. I'll try not to do any weird facial expressions.
What have you got? I'm assuming...
I didn't like... No, looking at my notes. I didn't massively like the cartwheel scene at the start.
Oh, okay.
It just annoyed me because...
You don't like getting money for charity? That's fine.
No, because she... Hang on. I'm a nice person, thank you very much. I didn't like the fact that she's gone off to take the cartwheel, and then she's got these nice shoes on, and then you cut, and then she does the cartwheel, and she's barefooted, and she falls over.
I think she takes her shoes off before she does it.
I must have missed that.
But either way, I can understand.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I was just like, because that created that image of her being this ditz to me, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And I guess that's probably where a lot of my scenes are those scenes where she's playing this ditz. Obviously she's not that ditzy because she's switched on to
she's not, but that scene kind of can go both ways, because I honestly looked at that scene from the very start as this girl's doing this money to get money for charity. Like she's going all out, and I'm like, I'm cool with that. That's why the ditz stuff didn't work for me either, because you're right, it's not her.
Yeah, and then the next sort of thing is she's on that bus, and she gets on there and she doesn't. Yeah. She's like, "Where's my seat number?" And the lady's like, "There's no seat number. You just sit wherever you can." She's like, "Oh, I'll sit here." And then she's like, "So how do I call in the attendant so I can get a glass of wine?" Yeah, I was like,
it felt too forced, that stuff.
It did.
That's why you can remake this movie when you dialed the cheese down.
And then as soon as she gets off the bus, well, even getting on the bus, like. The poor dude that she's asking to put her luggage on, she's got all these bags, and she's like, "Oh, can you be gentle with him?" And then she gets off the bus, and the first thing is it slowly wheels away, and then the car hits it, bang! Oh wow, that was a good chance for a laugh, really.
She was only meant to be going for one night, and she had 3 suitcases.
It's trying to put her as this character that she's not, that she never was, that she didn't need that development. I spoke about the teddy bear before, and then. The hot water bottle scene where she screams and wakes the whole hotel up because she thought there was something in her bed, and so she's like, "What's a hot water bottle?"
Jake was a bit of a dick about that.
True. Well, he's got all these angry customers.
He was.
So I get him. I allow him to do that. I didn't like every time that Ellie spoke to Gray on the phone. She's like, "Oh babe, oh babe."
She did babe a lot, didn't she?
I was like, "Oh, gross." You spoke about that scene where she's cleaning. Yeah. It really annoyed me because. The reason the vacuum explodes is because there's a pair of like boxer briefs that get stuck in the vacuum. Why didn't she just turn the vacuum off? And then she could have just pulled them out.
I similarly didn't like that scene.
It annoyed me. The snowstorm, like too convenient. She has to stay another night now. It just annoyed me that there's a snowstorm.
No, she had to stay because she hadn't delivered the letters yet.
Yeah, I know that, but
Christmas tradition.
Yeah, tradition. We'll get to that later on, I guess.
Yep.
And like the scene too, where you know that someone's going to go out and get the homeless guy.
I forgot about it.
Yeah,
I was like, where she's going?
I was like, oh, she's going to get the homeless guy. And 2 seconds later, here he comes.
He was a pretty nice guy.
He was not bad. Seems to be doing pretty well for the townspeople.
Yeah.
The kissing scene out where the sculptures are. He goes, "Is this the part where we kiss?"
That's right,
and she goes, "I think so." And then go to kiss, and she goes, "Oh, I can't." It's just awkward. And then like they follow it through at the end where he asks again. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Just reminded me of that scene again.
I didn't mind the follow up from that scene where he's like, "Look, I'm really sorry." Like, that's a really adult way of handling it. Like, I shouldn't have been like that. Like, I know you're married. Like, oh, sorry, I know you're engaged.
He did really well in apologizing for that.
Yeah, that's where some of this film felt adult and some of it felt kiddie.
Yeah. Well, the last scene that I've got that didn't sit well was Gray rocks up. He rocks up and then she goes, "Go have a snooze in the room." And he opens the door and then the family's there and he just looks at them awkwardly. And I was like, we probably didn't even need that scene.
Yeah, well, I must admit, I was thinking when she said, "Go have a snooze," I was like, isn't the family going to be there? Yeah. So maybe, you know what? They could have done something funny there and they just couldn't think of something funny to do, maybe.
But it still could have been funny. It could have been like, I don't know. It just, Anyway, that's me. I'm done.
Yeah, okay.
All right. This is the time where we have a look at what the film's trying to say with some themes, ideas, anything like that.
Yeah, and this is what I mean by
Christmas.
It had Christmas themes to it in the sense of, I think two of the main themes were giving and tradition, and that's what makes this a really solid Christmas film. Like, there's no debating whether this is a Christmas film or not, right? The idea of giving, obviously, very, very prominent through the charities that they work on. Jake being just a hell of a stand-up dude who even calls her out for not giving money to the homeless guy.
There's another dig at Gray as well.
Yeah.
Like,
But even like getting all the businesses to chip in, that whole feeling, that whole idea of giving. Not often you get a film that focuses on something like that, so I'm all for that, and I think it did a really good job of it. And then the other thing being tradition. I'm a big sucker for tradition as well, and I love the fact that giving these cards was all about tradition.
Yep.
She couldn't leave until they'd been done, and I guess you see Gray, who's effectively the villain of the film, talking down on the idea of tradition.
Yep. It makes a comment about something, the only thing my family talks about are shiny things, or like, the newest, biggest, greatest things, rather than,
And then he talks about like, we can start our own tradition. And it's like, mate, stop being a stick in the mud here.
And that goes in with family too, like massively.
It does. Yeah. Well, family's quite obvious. Yeah, tradition and family are very nice touch. But I think the film does both those things really nicely.
Totally agree. I think that there's this thing too about small town versus big city, and these totally different worlds, and the different values that sometimes are seen in a small town community where everyone knows everyone, compared to a big city where you may know 2 or 3 people. And I thought they tried to touch on that quite well through what you've spoken about as well as tradition.
And the idea of broadening your horizons being a good thing, where you think that she had it all when she comes to Snow Falls and realises that there's this world that she adores, and if she didn't do that, then she wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah, I like to this idea of almost trust and faith working together as well. Like Ali wanted to be trusted to take over the family business, and at the same time her dad was showing this faith in her to be able to do this. And even though they'd set this up for Zeke to be the Santa, and even though she'd left the town, they had this faith in her that she was going to come back.
Yeah, literally said like, I had the faith. He's like, I hope you did, because I was.
So there's that nice idea that the family has that faith in there too. And for Ali as well, it's like proving herself too. Like, she wanted to take charge of her own life and prove to her dad that I'm good enough to do what you do, sort of thing too. And little bits of like truth as well. Like that whole film, like that was why like Jake was so upset, was because he thought he had this new truth, and he didn't. It was all a little bit fake. Even though she didn't actually lie to him, it was still, that's got to hurt that someone isn't upfront and as truthful as possible.
Absolutely. I think the last thing that I did want to touch on, which I should have mentioned before in the characters, but the idea of moving on.
For Jake in particular?
Obviously for Jake, because he had chosen to remain as is and not let himself get swept away, and eventually he did, which allowed him to move on from, literally because they played Silent Night at the end, and he was happy with that. But even with the grief from Ellie's mother dying, and I think this is one other thing that I think could have been done better was showing her the impact that had on her, because she brought it up once or twice as, I think she even said it like, coming to Snowfalls was so good for me, like helping deal with the loss of my mum. But I never got the vibe that was plaguing her at any stage throughout the film. It was just brought up. So they could have done a better job at telling us that this is actually an issue for her. But the idea of moving on as being a positive thing, I guess that does go into the whole broadening your horizons kind of setup as well. But I enjoyed listening to you talk about those themes. And I think this was quite wholesome and chock full of good ideas.
Definitely.
And that's what I was missing from the last two Christmas films that we did, that it didn't have that stuff that I could really hang my hat on and go, cool, this film is about something. And that's all sucker me in.
It's got ya.
It got me. It did get me. I let it get me, but it got me.
Good. All right. Well, what did you take away apart from being gotten by this film?
Well, that's my main takeaway is that I think I can see myself adding to my Christmas watch list.
Okay.
Not that I have one set in
so
stone.
Out of the 3 Christmas films we've done the last couple of days, this is your
probably the only one that I would rewatch.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. The other two, I maybe watch El Camino Christmas in the right situation, maybe with mates, trying to have a bit of a laugh. It wasn't too bad, but this one I could see myself watching either by myself with my wife, getting really Christmassy, which I'm all for.
Cool. This is to me it's a middle of the road movie.
Yeah,
it's not horrible, but it's not great. Right spot, Netflix again.
I do.
We can say it every day for the last few days.
I do like the fact that Christmas wasn't jammed into it.
Yep.
Like, I think the film, Christmas is a big theme of the film, whereas some Christmas movies, it's set in December and all of a sudden it's a Christmas film, which works either way, but Christmas felt like almost an important character of this film.
Yeah, cool. All right. Did you jump on IMDb at all?
Yeah, I did for our mate Jake.
Oh, yeah? What did you find Jake in?
So, Jake Lacy, who plays Jake, is in How to Be Single. He's one of the guys. Which kind of, as you say, that like sitcom-y sort of feel works for him. So
yep. Cool. I looked up, so Alice was this character at the start of the film. She was like the dad's assistant, almost. And she was the one that was sort of like saying, Ellie's been spoiled.
Okay.
Yeah, and I looked her up. Her name's Laurie Hallier. Nothing. She just had this face. This is the first, I think I've gone donuts. I was like,
you haven't done that for a while.
Nah, I was like, I know you from something. Nah, nothing.
Just not even close.
Nah, nothing at all.
Good. I like that. You did that a bit early.
I hit out
in our Flix Forum days. You were like, found this person, thought it was someone.
Got no idea who they are.
Cool. I'm glad we got back to those days.
Have you got any questions for me?
We've kind of talked about this. Actually, I'll ask this one first. Do you think Ellie and Jake go to New York or settle in Snow Falls?
Ooh, if she can work remotely, I wouldn't.
Well, the internet was fine. The reception wasn't great.
It wasn't great. If she could work remotely, if she uses some of her money to put in a cell phone tower, reception tower.
Because she's obviously CEO.
Yeah, now she's the big boss.
There's no talk about her not being
and
CEO.
There's no reason for her dad not to come out here and move in
I'm
as well.
assuming he's retiring.
And if she's got this newfound meaning for family, she'd want to spend time with dad. So I can't see why she wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a good question. I didn't quite have an answer because I think it works either way.
I couldn't see Jake moving to New York. He's got too many bad memories.
Ellie.
You reckon he would?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair.
He's learnt how to move on.
Okay. What else you got?
We kind of spoke about this, but I didn't really get an answer. Mm-hmm. Of the last 3 movies we've done, what was your favourite?
Christmas Prince.
Christmas Prince was your favourite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to the sequel?
I'm looking forward to
Sequels?
the trequel, whatever you want to call it, the third cool.
Well, here's another question then. Are you going to watch the sequel for Christmas Prince out of order from our Netflix order because you want to watch it so badly?
I don't know if I'm getting enough time this Christmas, so maybe we've got a different movie every day this Christmas, so maybe next Christmas, if we're not doing Podmas, I guess. I don't know. Not enough time to watch anything at the moment. Good question. And this is obviously your favourite out of the 3.
It is, yeah. It is, comfortably.
All right. My turn?
Your turn.
I touched on this earlier. Do you think that Ellie was spoilt enough to need this character arc? Because there was mention about her being this spoilt city. I don't know if she was spoiled enough to...
No, yeah, I mean...
She'd worked hard for everything that from what we'd seen she'd got. How was she spoiled?
It beggars a good question that... Because I sit there and think, I really liked this character from the start. She had things to discover. I don't know necessarily being spoiled. She had things to discover before she could be effectively in that role, and she learned a lot of things throughout this film. But does this film work without her being klutzy and showing how far she's come? I think it does.
Yeah.
Does it appeal to the target audience?
Probably not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, fair call. So you spoke about this just before. There's no mobile phone reception, and the internet was fine though. To look up because he looked up the videos of her.
I found that quite interesting.
I found that really weird.
He made a point of saying we might not get reception, but our Wi-Fi.
We've got landline, we've got internet, but there's no phone reception.
Yeah, well, obviously got really good cable.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. So the letters didn't I don't know if this is the case. You might come up with your own answer,
sure.
But so the rule was she had to put it in Uncle Zeke's hand. Mm-hmm. Was this do you feel like this was a rule that was just created this year because they'd already previously spoken? Is this a rule they just created to test her to make sure that she got it in Zeke's hand, or is this a rule that they've done since 1981?
I want to believe it's a rule they've
done, yeah.
Just because tradition was such a big part
thing
of it.
For their family, yeah, true.
But it works either way.
Yeah. All right. Last thing. So you spoke before about Ali saying that she was a cook.
Yeah.
There's a baker. Sorry. There's a scene where she got asked to separate the eggs. I can't do that. Can you do that?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. All right, sweet. I was just.
But I imagine a baker would know what to do.
Oh well, my wife was like, "You don't know how to do that. You're an idiot."
Oh right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know the terminology.
Okay, good. Good.
What is it?
You got to take the yolk from the whites.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah, but it's apparently you can quite easily do it. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try that at some stage. Maybe if I make some egg yolk for Christmas. Eggnog?
When we have our Flix Forum Christmas party.
Flix Forum Christmas party. This party's gonna be huge.
You can bake for us.
If you want an invite to the party, you got about 24 hours to hit us up on social media.
Do you reckon Heater will come?
I don't know.
I think Heater will come.
I hope he's alive.
Heater is alive and well, guys. He's started a new job and he's very busy at the moment. He doesn't have time for us idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
But he will be back.
All right, that's all I've got for you. So I think we're ready to wrap this up.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so we like to give a rating out of 5 for our Flix Forum films, and then give it a average out of 5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty good, and it does get the tick of approval as an effective Christmas movie for me. Mm-hmm. Personally, I do wish it had have dialed down the cheese and spend that time making things more relatable, because the bones were there for this to take it to another level. With that said, I still enjoyed the character dynamic. I love the small town feel and just the Christmassy themes that it encompassed. 3 stars.
3 stars. Very nice. My thoughts are, watch The Christmas Prince instead.
Oh, don't watch The Christmas Prince instead.
2 out of 5.
Right.
So that gives us an average of 2.5.
I think that's our average for Christmas Prince.
We're doing well. All right, so
I love that we completely disagree on what's better out of those two films.
That's what people need to think about when they make Christmas films.
And that's what we're here for.
People have different opinions.
Even though we spoiled the film, so you probably haven't listened if you haven't watched it and you were deciding which one to watch. Maybe we should do some sort of
Christmas thing,
poll or something, and show you which one you should
vote. Yeah, we'll do a listener vote.
We'll think about this. We're doing this on the fly.
We'll work it out. Check our
social
media.
We might not do it. So
good little segue. We are on social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So we'll have a poll up there somewhere with which Christmas movie you should watch. We pop a question up there too, and my question for us this week or today is: does this film make you want to go out of town for some freshness?
Oh, absolutely! I would love
that town
to spend Christmas in that kind of
very nice little town. Yeah, bit of snow for Christmas would be nice.
We do not get that here.
No. All right. So
have you seen snow in your life in Australia? Have you seen snow in your life? Full stop.
Yep.
Where?
I've been to the snow in Australia, and I've been to Yosemite in California.
Have you seen the snow falling at the time?
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, I've been one. I was in New York a couple of years ago, like 10 years ago, and it snowed once or twice.
Yeah,
it is cool.
All right, well, we're back again tomorrow. We've got a bit of a switch up in genres this time. No more Christmas.
Oh, what is tomorrow? Okay.
Tomorrow is Bright.
Yep.
It is a urban fantasy crime film, and it's directed by David Ayer. It stars Will Smith, good old Aussie Joel Edgerton.
Love Joel Edgerton.
Naomi Rapace, who's from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think
right.
Is that her? The English version?
Sure.
English version or the Swedish version?
I think it's
Swedish version. Yep, Swedish version. Yeah. Lucy Fry, Edgar Ramirez, and Ike Barinholtz. So,
well, now you've ruined my IMDb.
Oh, sorry. I apologise. Well, yeah, Bright. So
cool.
And
I've
We're
been
in that stage.
I've been wanting to watch this film.
I'm pretty sure this was released like Christmas Day or the day after Christmas around 2017.
I just remember when this came out,
Me
it was
too.
big news.
Yeah, there's a lot of promos for it.
I feel like this is one of the main ones where, because obviously they had Will Smith.
Mm.
So anyway, we'll talk about this.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Not sick of you yet.
I hope you have time to. I hope we get another Christmassy theme in the next 10 or so days.
We're getting close to almost like 2 weeks of seeing each other every day.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
All right, well, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you then.
Bye.